Okay, we're going to go over a quick little video on storage. A few things to note. These little barrels, even though they are in your base, anyone can access them at any time. So if they're close to a wall, they can be accessed by enemy players. If they manage to get inside, they can also be accessed by enemy players. Any of the musical instrument, guard houses, healing fountains, things like that, even if you don't have the blueprint to make them, that includes the little merchant tiles out here, which I don't actually think... It says you can store things, but I don't think I've been able to store anything on those particularly. But the musical instruments, guard houses, healing fountain, they only hold 1,000. The target dummies can hold 2,000 before they are upgraded to their practical use, which is for damage testing and things like that. It's also good for healing since they have 1,000 HP. You can see how well you can do on 1,000 HP. Damage-wise, their resistance isn't exactly as high as most players will be, but it's a solid reference to know where your damage at, seeing as all training dummies all have the same resistance, the same HP. So you can see your DPS that way. The stash, any stash in the world can be accessed, but you have to be able to get to it, obviously. So say up here at the northeast, I do not have access to the one to the northwest. The other one in another settlement, which obviously if an enemy clan owns it or even an ally clan, I have to be able to get inside of it, so they have to give me access to their gates, or I have to sneak in after one of their players. But any of the stashes, they all hold 2,000, so that's a pretty handy way to store some resources if you need to. But it's not a necessity, but it is helpful whenever you need that extra 2,000 storage, or you're on the run and say you run into an enemy group after a mine fight. Well, I call it mine fights, but you can call them whatever you want. You can stash the loot in those stashes, fight them off, and not worry about losing, say, like 800 clay or whatever amount of resources you specifically had, because you can store it there, or you can quickly stash there, go grab the next set, stash it again while you're in between fights, seeing as carrying loot does not slow you down. You just cannot bank anything or stash anything if you are under attack by direct hits. As for your workshops, they are able to hold reagents, flux, and main materials, but generally I would recommend they only hold reagents and just move materials in there as you need them to be moved in there. So that way you maximize your storage of your reagents. As for your dojo, they hold sigils, which are the little skill scrolls, and then your pigments, so that way you can upgrade abilities. Obviously, if they're in the warehouse, you can use anything from the warehouse. You don't have to have anything in your inventory to be able to learn a skill or anything like that. So that's relatively handy. Mirror wall still does not drop. And then your warehouses I generally recommend for your flux and for your main resources, seeing as you're going to stockpile the hell out of those. Players in your clan, guild, whatever you want to call it, can pull from there, which is pretty handy. And that pretty much goes over the storage that you have to actually worry about. Just try and make it so that you're not filling up your warehouses and not actually maximizing your storage use from your dojos, your workshops, and other possible buildings that you can put resources in depending on what you've built and what you have not. And of course, make sure to use stashes in the open world as you need to, so that way, say you're trying to get one of these bases up here and they're not unlocked yet on the next reset, you do have stashes just before them, which will hold the clay, hemp, and otherwise to be able to actually claim the city when it comes up. But you will have to make 2 trips, seeing as we can only hold 800, and if I'm not mistaken, you need, it's something like 950 because you need 300 clay, hemp, and wood, and then you also need the 100 flux. That's pretty much it.